My name is Athena Cabeni. I'm a stand-up comedian, writer, and podcaster, and a parent, which is lovely. But my children, as you all know, are tiny. They're tiny, 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 and they're not very good at conversation. So every now and again, I invite a mate around to keep my company. It's the pandemic, blah 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 blah. No one can come around anymore, but we can still do this online. So today, I'm chatting to my friend Steve Whiteley.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Sun has just come out. I always feel good when the sun's out. I mean, it's a pretty standard thing to feel when the sun is out, but
Oh my gosh, yes.
right?
Listen,
It's been so weird, the weather.
the weather's been really weird and we've been stuck indoors. I swear down, I haven't been out in so long. I've changed colour. My foundation is the wrong colour now. I'm about 3 shades. I was talking about this on another podcast with someone, and it's like I'm pasty compared to what I started off as. And I going out is such a rare occurrence compared to what I would do before the pandemic.
So when you say you're not going out, like what level of not going out are we talking?
Just I don't really have any reason to leave the house other than to go to the supermarket and pick up my daughter from the childminder. So that's it. So I've gone from maybe leaving the house every day, like with purpose, like walking around, going to meetings, going to shows, and also doing leisurely things like, going to places to see people. I've gone from that to going childminders, going Tesco's.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
It,
The
it
transition
is.
is mad, but it's mad how it's just become so normalized. This is our new reality.
To the point where if someone says to me, "Oh, Athena, can you come into a studio to do something for the day?" I'd be like, "Well, no.
Yeah.
Do I have to?" It's just all those things that I used to do without thinking have become quite a lot of effort.
In some ways, I think that's quite good. Like, I think going forward, there'll be this middle ground, and people will be like, yeah, rather than just have this meeting in Soho, we can just chat over Zoom.
Yeah, and I think I've had so many meetings which came to nothing, which is very common in our
Yeah,
industry. I'm grateful that I can now do these things over Zoom, but at the same time, I used to run errands. I'd pick up things I needed. I'd go into town. Maybe I might
yeah.
schedule a coffee with a friend. So there were things kind of that I would do whilst I was out, and like, there were things I would achieve whilst being out. And I also feel like, and you're a writer, and you're lots of things to talk about that, but you're a writer. I don't always like to write at home. I like to pick up my laptop and write somewhere
I agree,
else.
100%. Yeah, you just need that vibe. But the other thing I thought like about going out and like how much actually you end up racking up in terms of costs. I remember when I used to go for auditions or even just going to town for a meeting, and like you said, so many of these meetings don't come to anything. I used to like calculate how much I was spending on my train journeys, and you're like, right, well, that's 780 down the drain because that meeting didn't come to anything. So got to write that one off. It just like racks up.
It's crazy. I was just actually saying the other day to my partner, I've got no expenses for my self-assessment next year.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh my God, I better buy a microphone or something because this is going to be wild. Like that,
it's
expenses
mad,
are
isn't
good,
it?
but I don't
Yeah.
have any expenses because my expenses are basically like, other than, I'll claim a lipstick. I'm a performer. I can do that. But, you can Google it. It's fine. But
But have
most
you
of it was travel.
but have you been doing like online shopping? A lot of people have been doing a lot of online shopping and clothes and that kind of thing. I don't mean just like Amazon stuff, but have you been going in on buying clothes from ASOS,
No, okay,
etc.?
so anyone who knows me will know, and you will learn this about me in this instant, because I'm telling you, I hate shopping. I
Okay,
find shopping dull.
likewise.
I find online shopping dull. If I need something, I'll buy it. And if I'm in an area, I might have a little, if I'm in Oxford Street where there's lots of shops, obviously, it's something that catches my eye and I think, oh, I need that. But I'm generally not someone who likes to own things. If,
Weigh you down. They just weigh you down.
they do wear you down. I think it was because before I moved into the place I live now, I kind of moved every year, not purposefully, but just how my life worked out. And owning stuff is really annoying when you move house a lot.
Hold on.
So
So how many years in a row did you move?
I would say, let me think, about 5. I had, yeah.
I
So
did something similar. Yeah,
yeah, and it was just coincidence. It was just life circumstance. And when you rent,
yeah.
that's really common. Um, and so if it couldn't all fit in my car, it was really problematic. So I ended up shedding lots of stuff. But I just hate shopping. I don't like stuff. People love stuff. I'm not
No,
into a
agree.
stuff. You don't like
Agree.
stuff
It's a
too?
quick fix solution. Well, it's like it's like I've had a. Can I swear on this or not?
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay. Yeah, like if it's that thing, isn't it? You've had a shit day. I'm just gonna go and make myself feel better by just buying some clothes, which I understand, I get, but it's a quick fix solution. Doesn't last. The high you get from buying those items, which inevitably you're going to end up returning.
Absolutely. It's a slippery slope. And also, Am I an anti-capitalist? I understand how bad capitalism is. I wouldn't say I'm anti-capitalist. I don't really do anything about it. But I think I don't want to participate in that whole thing of if you own this, you will be a better person. That kind of messaging, that is what basically makes the
Yeah.
money world go round. That's why people have earpods. That's why people upgrade their phone every year or every 2 years. That's why people spend 10 grand on really rare trainers that are just trainers or whatever. And I appreciate the art of certain things. I actually appreciate, like, yeah, I just said trainers. I appreciate why someone would want to own those particular pair of Jordans and blah 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 blah. But
Yeah.
I don't understand why they make people so happy. I don't
No, but you know,
understand.
I used to be a massive sneakerhead, and I did indulge in a pair the other day. There was this limited edition of Huarache Stussy that came out, and I was like, you know what? I haven't bought myself anything like that in I don't know how long, and I did it, and it was. I'm going back on everything I've just said, but it was, you know, I felt good. I felt good about it. It was exciting when it arrived because it was like these limited edition. I had to go on like, you know, this niche trainer website, which is like, have you heard of this? It's called like X Exchange or something. It's like a stock exchange for
Yes,
trainers.
they are trying to sell me trainers on my social media feeds.
Yeah, they're doing
Yeah,
mine as well. The
they're trying to sell
cookies
me
are,
trainers. Yeah.
yeah, it's mad. So people just buy and sell collectible trainers. So I did buy that. It did make me feel good. And then I went on a walking date and I decided to wear them. But then I was just constantly thinking about how I was getting them dirty. And so then it just turned into a bit of an anxiety thing.
And Hirachis get dirty really quickly, and
So
the
quickly.
heel kind of collapses, like the kind of the bit behind your
Why
heel,
have I
that
bought
kind of,
them? Why have I bought
yeah.
them a thing? What
Hirachis
am I
are
doing?
the least practical trainers. So are Air
I
Force
know, what am I
Ones.
doing? And I also feel like they're for a younger generation, you know? They're like for like
Well,
17 to 25, maybe. If anything past that, and like, what you doing, mate?
I used to be a trainer person, and one day I think I did go through a stage where I just went, Athena, you got to change your life. And I took all my trainers, I cleaned them, and I sent, and I was going to Ghana that year, and I just put them all in the suitcase, took them to Ghana, um, and
I
I
remember you
just gave
telling
them
me
away.
that.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you did, because I remember you told me that, and I was like, oh, that's a nice way of doing it, because I just sold all mine.
Well, mine weren't really collectible. They were nice trainers, but they weren't like limited edition. They were just nice trainers that I'd looked after,
Okay.
and I had so many pairs. I didn't need to look after them. I just didn't need to wear them that often. I had so many,
Yeah,
and I just didn't like the space they were taking up. I didn't
I
like
agree.
the fact
Yeah.
that I had so many. And yeah, so going back to your question about online shopping, I do buy things online because I can't. I had to buy some photo frames because it's Mother's Day on Sunday. I bought some pictures of. I printed out some pictures of my new baby for my mum. So I bought. I'm buying stuff online that I need because I'm not able to, like. Normally, I'd have just gone to like Argos or John Lewis or wherever to get them, but we can't do that now.
Can't do that now,
So
no.
yeah, but I'm trying not to indulge. I'm not that I'm trying. I don't like it, and I don't have any money, which
No.
helps. I'm sat here going, "Oh, I don't like shopping. I don't have money to
Yeah.
shop."
Yeah, exactly. No, no, I think like it's well, it's like it's a discipline, isn't it? Like with all these things, it's like a craving towards something, whatever it might be, for like quick, quick fix pleasure. And then if you can just pause before you do it, then I think it's almost like building up a muscle. You know,
Yeah, I
I, I
always
I used to like indulge in, well, I mean, like shitloads of stuff. I used to drink far too much booze when I was younger, smoke too much weed, and it was just as soon as I felt like doing it, I just did it. Whereas now I can like create a space between the feeling or the compulsion to want to do it and then acting on it.
it's really important. I advise people to ask themselves a question before they buy something. Can I live without it? Like,
Yeah,
can I live without it, whatever it is, or can I live without doing it? And most of the time, like, that's quite a good question. So for example, the trainers you bought, if you'd asked yourself that question, you would have said, actually, no, I
oh for
can't.
sure.
I want them. And that's
Yeah,
actually really good because it's okay to own material things. It's not just, I'm not one of those people that, oh, all my, like, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, they're all
yeah,
met, so I need nothing else. Like, I'm not
yeah.
sat here
Right.
naked. Like, I have
Yeah,
clothes. I'm speaking to you through a microphone that I just bought. I have a phone, I have a laptop, I have headphones.
but
I
that's like
own
interesting though.
things.
Like, do you think that if you were in a profession that you didn't necessarily love, and so your needs weren't, and your needs and sort of desires, etc., weren't satisfied through that, you would feel more of a compulsion to do things like having quick fixes, like buying stuff online?
That's a good question. Yeah, really good. I think you probably would, and I've been in that position. I've been in
Me
jobs
too.
that I didn't. Yeah, it's just a story for creatives. Like we come from places
Yeah,
where
all
we're
over
not
the
as happy
gaff.
as we are now, and
Yeah,
I think I definitely. I mean, I used to take holidays. So when I was working in a normal job, well, I say normal, I mean a 9 to 5 office job.
yeah,
I used to go on holiday. I was really privileged to have the disposable income to just piss off
yeah,
a couple of times a year. So that
yeah.
was I was going to ask you, if you don't like buying stuff, what do you like spending money on? So I like
Well,
spending money on
same,
holidays.
same. Travel for me is the one. It's a completely different. For me, that's a completely different arena to buying material things because essentially you're exchanging your money for experiences rather than goods, and those
Yeah,
experiences, without wanting to sound cheesy, last a lifetime, good or bad.
yeah.
And it broadens the mind. So for me, travel far and away the most for sure.
What's your most? Do you have like a memorable holiday experience that you think that was
Oh,
the journey of a lifetime?
that's a good question. Yeah, I did. I did some Central America about 6 years ago. I went to uh, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Nicaragua, and it was a bit of a surf expedition. Not Guatemala, you can't really surf there, but the other two.
You
And
surf.
I surf,
Where
yeah,
did
I
you learn
do,
to
I
surf?
do. I initially learned in Australia. I went years ago, but I stopped for 10 years, and then I went to Tel Aviv of all places. About I think it must have been about 12 years ago to visit a friend who was living there at the time. And as soon as I got there, he had to go away for work, so I just stayed there on my own for 10 days. And so I just picked up a board and I just started surfing. I just fell in love with it. That's the thing I like to do more than anything.
You love surfing. So
Love
are
it.
you originally from London?
That's the thing. That is the fucked up thing. I'm a landlocked surfer.
So, have you been to Cornwall to do surfing?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of time. Cornwall, Croyd, Devon is that's the place for me. So it's like because you go out there and you've got rolling green hills, you're out on the sea, and it's just this amazing combination of sea and just like beautiful English countryside.
I'm going to ask the question that
Go on.
everyone is thinking, and you must get asked loads when you say I surf in the UK. Isn't it cold?
Yeah, it is cold. Yeah, yeah, it's freezing. It's freezing. But you know what? I'm on a. Do you know? I'm sure you do. Do you know about Wim Hof?
No.
Okay, so Wim Hof is he's this big phenomenon, modern phenomenon. He's this guy who's created this whole regime where you do like deep breathing exercises followed by cold water treatment. So either freezing cold showers or you bathe in, ice, if you can do that, which is obviously not that feasible for many. So I do like these freezing cold showers anymore every morning, and it's supposed to have all these health benefits. So I'm kind of used to it
You take cold showers every morning. Do you know that's my
every morning.
worst nightmare? So when I go to Ghana, that one thing I will shit in a hole. I will go through jungle. I'll
Yeah,
do all sorts. I'm pretty laid back. I can't take a cold shower. I
it's the
can't do it.
best.
I will scream.
Once you get over that, once you cross that line, I can feel the difference now. I feel sluggish now if I have a hot shower.
That's
When I have a cold
epic.
shower, you wake up. Sometimes you just wake up, you're just feeling shit. And then as soon as you have that cold shower, and when I say, look, I'm in there for max a minute. That's all I can do because I put it on the coldest temperature, and then you get to that point where you got a bit of a brain freeze, but it washes off any bad mood, etc. And then you're good to go.
I think I would suggest that because nothing can be as bad as a cold shower, that's why it lifts your mood. You're like, oh well, this doesn't get any worse than this.
No, do you know what? There's something to be said for that. It's like if you can do something uncomfortable first thing in the morning, then everything else, is fair
Oh,
game.
so I'm the opposite. So I think there's a stereotype that ladies
Mm.
like hot showers and men like cold showers.
Okay, I
And
haven't heard
I
that
don't know if
one.
have you not heard this? So
No,
it's one that it's plagued me in my dating life. Men have always complained that I have the shower too hot to the point where it's
interesting.
scalding. So when they're coming after me, they're like, they have to know to turn the knob down before they turn the shower on.
Yeah,
But I'm the opposite. I have to start off my day with a scaldingly hot shower, and I use something called an African sponge, which is basically like a bit of mesh. And it just scrubs all of the sins off my skin. It'd be called exfoliation, I guess, if I was like a
yeah, yeah.
hipster. But it's
Okay,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and a hot, steaming hot water, scalding water, plus a rough, like almost like a scour. When you're scouring like
yeah.
a pan, I scrub myself, and that's how I wake up. So
I used
let's
to
swap
love.
regimes.
Yeah, we should do a swap. I used to do that when I go to the gym. I used to like doing cold showers and then a hot steam. and go
Oh
do
yeah.
back and forth, back and forth. So you do a temperature drop. I've for one of my one of my first relationships, first time I had to go and meet her parents, went round for dinner. I did that before, and it was not a good decision because inevitably for the next 30 minutes after, you start sweating. And I was running late and I rushed there, sitting around like this tiny dinner table, all very intense, all very close. I'm just like drenched in sweat. And in my mind, I didn't think that they noticed. And sort of every time they sort of turned away, I would like slyly get my t-shirt and just dab my forehead. I just did that constantly for like the next hour.
Yeah, so that's a good learning point.
Mm.
Don't do a sauna and a cold dip before meeting important
Meeting the
people.
parents, yeah.
Yeah, but when you go to like these help like a spa, that's what there's like there'll be like a cold plunge pool, and I mean I literally I'll put my toe in it and I'm like I'm not getting in that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
okay,
No, I used to be the same, but I don't know. Just it's like how your taste buds change. I think it's like
yes.
that. I used to hate beetroot. Used to hate
Mm.
beetroot, hate tomatoes. Now I can't get enough of the stuff.
It's strange, isn't it? I'm glad you said that because my 2-year-old is just a fussy eater at the moment. So I'm like,
Really.
okay, Steve changed his ways, so maybe she
So
will
me,
too.
yeah, yeah. Does she have certain objects that she obsesses over? And I say that because my nephew's the same age, and everything is about the Hoover, everything. And it's like we'll go to the playground, and he stopped playing with the Hoover like 2 hours before, and then he'll just be like, "Yeah, yeah, Uncle Steve, Hoover." And she's, "Mate, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, that was 2 hours ago."
Yes, she does. But she's kind of like she has things she obsesses over, but that she has lots of things she obsesses
Okay.
over. So she loves remote controls. For example, you've got to hide them. She'll
Oh
just
yeah,
pick them
yeah.
up, and a lot of it is mimicry. So they're like copying you. So she likes to vacuum as well because she sees like her dad vacuuming, for example,
Right. Yeah.
and like she just wants to copy.
Okay.
She's also obsessed. This is a terrible one. We have to keep the kitchen doors closed all the time because she likes to go in and turn the knobs on the cooker because she obviously sees me like at the cooker
Dangerous.
quite a lot, and it's like, yeah. So it's maybe but the one thing she's not obsessed with is putting food in her mouth, whatever's in front of her, which she sees us do all the time. But that's where
Okay.
she draws the line at
Right.
copying. She
Right.
draws
Right.
and using the potty, she draws the line there as well. But she does, yeah. Remote controls would be a big one. She's into the Hoover. What else does she like? It's sort of everything, yeah. But she loves her toys, so she likes to copy what we do, but replicate it using her toys. So she's got a little pram, and she likes to pretend she's pushing her little brother around in the pram, but it won't be her brother; it'll be like a doll.
Okay.
So she'll be like, "I'm taking brother to the supermarket," or "I'm taking baby to the market." It's always the market or shopping or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so my niece is 5, my nephew's 2, and she has started giving him commands as if he's a dog and he responds. So she'll say, sit, sit, and he sits. He walks, and my sister's just like filming it, laughing. I'm like, what are you doing? This is like child abuse.
I'll tell you what she's doing. She's destroying the patriarchy. That's how we win.
Maybe
This is how we
that's
win.
why it affected me so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we win. No,
Felt threatened by it.
I think with kids, you've got to let them just play it out because
Yeah,
they don't
for
know their
sure.
brains aren't finished. So they're just like they're so unreasonable, and their unreasonableness will result in the most adorable moments. Like my little one's got a little teddy bear called Color,
Mm,
and so it's because it's lots of different colors, and she called it Color. One day we realized she was calling it Color, which I thought was really cute.
mm.
And the other day I walked into her room because it was the morning to wake her up, and she was just in bed. Had her hat given Color like a really big bear hug, going morning Color, what will we do today? Morning Color, what will we do today? Like she's just like that's an unfinished brain, just really
Yeah, yeah.
enjoying.
It's like they're on acid,
Yeah,
aren't
but
they?
then at the same time, that same brain will poo in a nappy, take the nappy off, and then throw the nappy at the window, leaving the shit on the window. Like those, so the same brain, two remarkably different activities that they both think are rational. So you always have to remember when they do something like that, she talks to her teddy bear, thinks it's real, looks forward to
Yeah.
spending the day with him. Talks to her
Has
teddy
she
bear, thinks it's real, looks forward to spending the day with him.
has she discovered screens yet? Like
Oh
phone
yeah,
screen?
yeah, absolutely. Like as a parent, you say to yourself, "I'm not going to let them watch the iPad. I'm not going to do it." Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But the minute you realize it works, my gosh, you just give it to them because you need. I think when you work from home, which is what we've all had to do during the pandemic, you do have to compromise a bit. But we put on
Yeah.
like learning apps, so she can count and stuff now, and I think she can do that because of the apps.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I reckon you can already see it. Like I don't know what you think, but like the younger generations, I feel like in one way they're way more worldly, and in another way they're not. As in, they don't necessarily have the same social skills because they're always on their screen. But the fact that they've got all this access to information from such a young age makes them in some ways more knowledgeable and worldly than our generation was to a certain degree. And that's sort of like the kids that grew up with social media. But what are like the next generation going to be like?
It's
It's
got
going to be crazy.
it's going to be wild. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. They've got knowledge, but they don't necessarily have etiquette or
Yeah.
behave or human to human behavior. And I don't mean that we raise there are kids running around and they're idiots and they can't shake hands, or they see another human being and they explode. I don't mean it's that bad,
Yeah.
but I think that maybe there's living life online and living life in real life, two hugely different things. And especially with lockdown now, I do worry that the life skill of just interacting with other humans and learning how to be empathetic, for
Yeah.
example, and generous and kind, like in real life there's a very different things to kind of interacting within, like Minecraft or whatever it's called. And the idea of have you seen, you must have seen Ready Player One.
Do you know what? I haven't seen it, but it's at the moment it's being referenced quite a lot because there's this company that have just gone on the stock
Yeah,
market and they do,
Roblox, isn't it?
yeah, Roblox, and
Yeah,
they're worth God knows, I don't know, 64 billion or something stupid like that, and they do exactly that, right? What Ready Player
yeah,
One is based on.
they allow you to inhabit an avatar that exists in a
That's it.
almost four-dimensional world in which anything can happen,
Yeah, it's
which is
mad,
always
isn't it?
but Minecraft isn't a million miles from that, and there are lots of kind of role-playing games that aren't a million miles from that. It's just this Roblox environment is just even more freer and more in the control of the users, and it is mad, and it's almost like we're getting towards a kind of a reality where you you can travel sort of thousands, if not millions of miles, but not leave your living room and have a really rich life, which is like a rich social life and full of interaction, but not even know anything about the people who are in your life. Which I think for us it's scary because this is the thing that separates us from the generations coming after us now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that for me it leads to like lots of like, you know, I kind of shallow friendships. Not shallow as in they're shallow, but they're not very deep. Like lots of those. You think about all the amount of different people you communicate with who like DM you and stuff on Instagram, etc., compared to deeper a handful of deeper friendships, which I'm sure we've grown up with that experience, but I don't know if that next generation will or not. In the same
Yeah.
way.
And the cynical person in me thinks about people being able to lie to you and deceive you. Like getting catfished or whatever.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're in
that
these
shit's
worlds, you can
crazy.
be whoever you are and whatever you want. There's no one. You don't need to verify. Like you can just walk around and say, "Hey, I'm a comedian," and no one will know if you are or not,
Yeah,
or whatever. Like, yeah, I would want, like, I worry, not worry, but I think about how I'm going to allow my kids to interact and use social technology and social media when they're old enough to kind of want to access it. One thing I've been really
yeah,
careful about is at least not physically putting them online. So then when I do talk to them about it, they can't throw in my face, well, you took a picture of me in the potty and put it on Instagram or anything like that. I want the conversation I have with them to kind of stand up to interrogation. I think it'd be very
yeah.
hard
I
to
think
tell
that's a
you,
smart move.
man, you have to. I think it'd be very hard to talk to your kids about what they share online and how they use social media if I'm not being disciplined with
if
how.
if it
And look,
hasn't happened, already, there'll be like kids who are going to sue their parents for leaking photos of them without their permission from a young age online, all that sort of stuff. Privacy issues. Because these kids aren't consulted. And they've got like hundreds of pictures of them from birth to whatever age that have just been posted on their behalf all over social media.
what's scary is when parents make a living out of posting their kids online. So they
Yeah,
like the family influencers, or then maybe the kid's a genius and they just put the kid online. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
I stop short of criticizing it because I think people have to live their lives, and I think you can use those platforms responsibly. But I do think if you do that, then if your kids when they grow up suddenly want to take it to another level, or they think that's their normal, if you become at any stage uncomfortable with what they're doing, it's very difficult to,
to reverse that.
yeah, it is because
It is,
you
yeah.
don't have a leg to stand on. So I have to say my kids are very cute, and I'm missing out on lots of likes, but I'm prepared to make that sacrifice. so I can win an
Yeah,
argument.
it must be hard. Must be hard. Sometimes, oh my gosh, this would get so many likes.
Definitely. But I tell you what's really nice is that when I send pictures, via WhatsApp to my family and my friends, it feels really special because I'm
Yeah,
sharing something with them that
yeah, it's
no
a bit
one,
more intimate.
exactly, that no one really sees. So that's something I'm really pleased that I've preserved that. For ages, I didn't even. I mean, people will probably have picked up. I don't even say my kids' names on the podcast, and I generally try not to let their names slip out. They have slipped out on a couple of things that I've done. So that could be your challenge, listener. Go and find out my kids' names on podcasts that I've been on recently. But yeah, I could try and keep everything. For ages, I tried to keep their gender secret, but it didn't work. It was
Yeah, I
just
remember you telling me that. Yeah,
too hard.
that's yeah, I can imagine that is hard. But I think it's a fine line, isn't it, to walk when you're, I guess, doing what we're doing. You've got to decide how much of yourself you want to put out there.
Yeah, and it's with myself. Everything can go out there. Really, it's more just the people around me. Like they didn't,
Yeah,
my kids and my partner. They didn't choose to be like,
they didn't choose this life.
no, they didn't
They're
choose
not
this life.
about that
This
life.
life on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's important that, and also in my comedy, I might like make up lots of stuff. So I don't want people to
Yeah.
attribute made up scenarios and lies and
What? It's
connect
not
them.
real?
I mean, it's real in my head.
Yeah.
Obviously, but so I wouldn't want to like say something and then have people attach those falsehoods to like a real life person or anything like that. So I think it's important to divide my time a bit between them. So you like hanging out with your niece and nephew? I never had nieces and nephews. I had my kid. I've got them now. Did I tell you? So you must know my eldest has a twin cousin. My twin brother had a baby at the same time as me.
Told me the story about the twin brother, and I was like, because you told it to me so casually, and you saw my jaw just drop, and I was like, "What? You and your twin had babies at exactly the same time?
Yeah, so I
Is
became an
that a normal
auntie.
twin thing?"
I hope not.
Yeah,
But I became an auntie at the same time as becoming a mum, so I never really
yeah,
got
that's
to
dope.
be an auntie.
Okay, I
What
see
kind
what
of
you mean, yeah.
how would you describe yourself as an uncle?
Fun time uncle.
Fun
Yeah,
time
funkle,
uncle. Everyone
funkle.
says that.
No, I kind of like it because it's a nice introduction to what it might be like,
Yes.
But I just, go around. I get to have fun with them. I get them like super hyperactive into a frenzied state, and then I leave. And then, and then my sister has to deal with, the fallout of that. But yeah, it's fun. It is a lot of fun, and it's also interesting to see like the different energies between the niece and the nephew, and just seeing it from that perspective. She was, the first one, and then this other kid comes along, and then first she hates him, and now that like they love each other, and it's so interesting to watch it all.
Do you think you've learned anything about gender looking at after a little boy and a little girl?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
What
yeah, yeah.
what have
Like
you
just
learned?
how everything is just so like defined gender wise from such a young age. Like just the toys, the colors. It's so sewed into our fabric of society. It's just how do they have a chance to even be a little bit more looser and fluid with it when it's just sort of thrown at them from such a young age. She's so into, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but she's so into her princesses. She loves the color pink and all this kind of thing because that's what she's been bought, or those are the things that she's been exposed to as a girl. Whereas he's like just got his first toy DIY box, and he's playing with hammers and screwdrivers, that type of thing. It's so interesting the way it's been defined from such a young age. How have you found it?
It's yeah, exactly as you've said. So externally, it's very we live in a very gendered society, and very much so when it comes to kids. I think internally, though, I think you can you can mitigate against it. So
Mm, mm.
there's a lot of gender neutral stuff. Like when we buy toys for our daughter, our little one's still too young for that kind of stuff, but we kind of give her everything. So she's got like a hammer and drill and sander. She's got a sander, but at the same time, she's got a buggy and a doll as well. And she kind of
Do you have a
likes.
preference?
No, she likes everything. Her
That's cool.
favorite.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to brag, but her favorite toy set is the Doctor set. And I don't
Great.
want to. I don't want to, put too much pressure and expectation on her, but she's very into the Doctor set. She likes coming up to us with a stethoscope and making sure we're still alive, which is good. So she cares. She's got a little thermometer, and she likes to. It comes with that thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's that thing doctors put in your mouth. It's got a mirror on it.
Oh yeah.
So she's constant. Honestly, this thing. If you come to our house, don't touch it. It's been in all of our mouths. She likes to play with that. So I think you can. you can mitigate against it by
I'm
just,
sure.
and
Yeah.
also we've had lockdown, so she hasn't been at a really formative time of her life, between being 1 and she turned 2 during lockdown. She hasn't been out, so she hasn't been seeing adverts. She hasn't been getting gifts from people that might have given her gifts if we've gone to visit
Okay.
them. She's just been
Yeah.
in our kind of little vacuum. So we've been able to really curate the stuff that she's been surrounded by.
Yeah, that's
And
cool. And I'll
yeah,
go out my way. So if we go to the playground, and she's climbing, etc., I'll go out my way to say, oh yeah, you're the new Spider Girl, rather than like you're Spider Man, you're Superman, you're Batman.
yeah, yeah. That's really good. Little things like that, so they can really identify and inhabit a role that they think belongs to them. I think we are quite conscious. I mean, I think we're going to do all right because now we've got a son. He's just going to wear all of her old clothes within limits. We're not putting him in like a tutu and stuff like that. Like, but so already, like, she's going to see him wearing like pink and whatever, and we dress her in boys and girls clothes because it's just easier. As it happens, boys, you go shopping for boys' clothes, dinosaurs. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs. Like, why? What is the conspiracy here? I'm just trying to understand what capitalism has to gain by making boys obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I was just trying to think. Like,
It's
they,
you
they
can't
don't.
you can't buy your if you've got a son, buy him girls' clothes. It's way more interesting.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
got unicorns, they've got sheep, they've got puppies. Boys just got dinosaurs. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Yeah. Don't know what the theory is behind that. I'm trying to search for one, but I don't think we're going to come up with it in time before this podcast ends. TBC.
It's TBC, but that's so. I think you can mitigate against it, but unfortunately, like, they get so many messages from you watch TV. If they watch any amount of TV, they're going to get very gendered messages that completely supersede everything you've done, and there's nothing you can do. Just but I think the most important thing is to kind of like let them, like, don't panic if they pick something up and play with it. Just let them enjoy themselves because it only means something to us. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Like, when a little girl is doing something quote unquote girly, it's not girly to them. They're just doing something they enjoy. And similarly, if a child is doing something like boyish, it's not boyish to them. They're just doing something they enjoy. So sometimes it's important just to let them enjoy themselves too. So when my little girl, she likes to breastfeed her doll because she sees me breastfeeding. So
That's cute.
it is very cute. And a lot of people might be like, oh my God, but I'm like, you know what? Like, it's cool. Like, she's mimicking her mum.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's how they learn.
What do you think about the school of thought that milk is bad, dairy bad, etc., and that we should be moving to plant-based milk? Do you think that's applicable to kids from a young age, or do you think it's damaging to move them from breast milk to, I don't know, something like oat or almond milk or whatever?
Well, I think there's a lot. I mean, the milk debate is a very passionate debate that parents have and mothers have. I mean, fuck it. I just think your kids have got to eat, give them what they need. If it's
Yeah.
like, if it's not causing them harm, that's fine. I give mine breast milk because I'm like, it's free. And also, I have a lot of it is really, what do you have the time to do? It takes ages to breastfeed. You've got to sit there and they're just always attached to you. So if you're a post woman, you can't breastfeed your child, man, or not whilst you're delivering the post. But I'm a writer, so I can type with one hand. I've got a sling that I stick her in.
You were doing that while we were doing my podcast.
I probably was. Yeah, I've been doing a lot
And
of.
at the end of it, and I was like, "Oh, where's your baby?" And I was like, "Yeah, just breastfeeding."
Yeah. That's the wonderful
Wow.
thing about lockdown, because obviously I wouldn't be able to. I would be able to, but like I did a Zoom gig the other. I do quite a lot of online gigs where I'm
Don't
just
tell me you're doing it while you were
yeah,
doing the gig. I
yeah. Like,
love that.
because it's like, I might as well. I'm getting
So
50
good.
or 60 quid for it, and
Yeah,
no one
for
can
sure.
see.
Yeah.
So just have them. I can't do that on stage, so you might as
Brilliant.
well. So
Brilliant.
I
Yeah.
have the luxury of being able to engage in what I do for a living whilst breastfeeding. Whereas if you can't do that, then it's difficult. To answer your question, I think there's probably truth in cow's milk not being compatible with humans. I think there's probably truth in that. We're all lactose intolerant. We're all crazy. I mean, actually, we've always been crazy, but as
Yeah.
humans. But I think that if you were to say, like, and look at the science of, and we are the only species on the planet that drinks the milk of other mammals. Like, no one else
Yeah.
does it. So there's probably something not quite right about that. However, I don't think the thing that is not right about it is like life threatening. I don't think I think if you indulge in having milk, I think it's okay.
It's everything in moderation, isn't it? If you're going down the pub and you're having 10 pints of milk every night, then maybe you need to
Yeah.
take a look at yourself in the mirror.
I can't. Oh god, I personally hate milk. I can't. I've never liked milk. I don't like it. I don't. I hate milk so much. I don't even like milk substitutes. I just don't like the concept of that just milky things. I'm very fussy about milk. And are you a milk drinker? Do you like? Would you put?
I do have almond milk, but I was just thinking it's very similar in a way to what we are talking about before about, gender societies, how it's built into us from a young age. You've got to have milk to be strong. You've got to have breakfast. Breakfast is because it's all a marketing ploy, from these cereal companies, etc. But actually, do we actually need it first thing in the morning? It was just what we know, isn't it? It was what we know from such a young age. And obviously the breastfeeding thing is a huge part of that. But after that, it's just part and parcel of our daily diet.
There's a story about milk. How milk is like not that great for us. It's just a drink. But then apparently there was like an excess of milk in America for some reason. Too many cows. I don't know. So then the way they dealt with it was to have like a massive marketing campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So it's exactly what they did with cigarettes. They're just turning into a commodity. No, sorry, it's exactly what they did. They did something similar to cigarettes, but not the same way. They did it with toothpaste. But
Right.
no one used to have toothpaste. Toothpaste wasn't a thing. And then this company created toothpaste and they weren't selling any of it. They went to this renowned ad agency and they turned this whole branding thing on its head. It's like, yeah, you need to brush your teeth every day. Otherwise, this will happen. So like attaching negative connotations in order to sell the product.
Wow. What did people use before toothpaste?
They use, right, back in the day, they used to use these like crumbled stones and rocks, like mixture. Crazy. Used to put that together. And then, then they slowly incorporated different types of, and then they used soap at one point, different types of soap. And then eventually toothpaste became the norm, but it was all because of this genius advertising campaign. And then off the back of that toothpaste brand just just went mega.
Well, I asked the question, what do people use? But I know, again, I'll talk about Ghana again, but we have something called chew stick. It comes from a very specific tree and it has a naturally occurring chemical and they create a stick from it. And it's just like it's like a thick lollipop stick. That's the only way I can describe it. And you chew it. And that's how you brush your teeth. And that's how my dad I think he used to brush his teeth anyway, but he'd always have chew stick. And as you chew it, it frays. And then as it frays, it cleans your teeth. But if you was to bite chew stick, it's so hard. It's like a table. It's like trying to bite a table. It's so hard. So I can imagine a lifetime of using chew stick is gonna create a very good set of gnashers.
Yeah, for sure.
So I imagine there was all kinds of things that we used all around the world as alternative to toothpaste. Toothpaste doesn't work, ladies, by the way, because we have dentists who do very well out of life.
Yeah, and I don't know what it does for you, but I'm sure fluoride isn't that great.
Because it's in the water, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you drink tap water?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I've got, I did get a filter and I'm just looking at it now and just realizing I haven't used it since I bought it. I think I used it for like a couple of days. Do you?
Well, I had a filter years ago and buying filters turned out to be such a fucking drag. I was like, I'm just going to drink the tap.
Them.
Oh God. And also I just thought about the waste associated with them, but I bought the filter because of the lime scale and it was just, but it's a lot of effort to use a water filter. I drink tap water. My partner doesn't. He won't touch it. He won't drink tap water anywhere.
So what do you use?
Bottled, yeah, which is very bad for the environment. But and he thinks it's he's appalled by the fact that I use tap water. But I think it's again going back to what we were saying earlier. Like if you really think about it, like it's a blessing that I've got taps in my house that I turn a knob on and water just comes out. Like I think I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. But
no, like you think about, you go abroad, etc., and the amount of countries that you can't drink the tap water from, and some don't even have. Obviously, a lot don't even have hot water. So you're lucky for sure.
Exactly. I feel like it's a privilege, but he stays with us everywhere. Oh, I'll tell you what I started drinking during lockdown. Posh cordial.
What's that?
Like you get cordial, which is like Ribena or like Juicy or Vimto, but it comes in glass bottles and it costs like £3.
Right,
delicious. Okay. I highly recommend spending more money on your cordial. I tweeted about it when I realized just a few months ago. It was because I was just like, this is revolutionary because it's revelatory. It's amazing. So posh cordials are like you get them in the supermarket and they're just expensive cordials, but they taste delicious. They're like ginger and elderflower, and you get blackcurrant ones, and they're really thick and syrupy, and they taste amazing with water, obviously, because you've got their cordials. So that's where capitalism got me. I was like, yeah, I need these in my life. Like, I need these. They're delicious.
There's another one, rosemary infused water. So
Oh,
some guy he did this tour around these Italian villages, and he'd see like all these, old Italian men and women in their 90s looking vibrant, and he would quiz them, what's your secret? And a load of them said rosemary. We put rosemary in everything. So he went back to the UK and he created this rosemary #1 water, which now sells at something like £5 a pop or whatever. And essentially water with rosemary infused in it.
rosemary's supposed to be quite good for you.
It is, yeah. I
Would you
think it's
say?
quite a
Would
smart
you
thing to
say
do.
like? Would you say? I mean, you sound like someone who looks after themselves. You drink almond milk. Is that because you're a vegetarian or vegan?
I'm like a 90% vegan at the moment.
Oh, Chegan. That's a name. That's what they call
Chegan.
you.
Is that what it is?
Chegans.
I've never heard
Yeah.
of that one.
Yeah. Cheating vegans.
Yeah, yeah. I don't buy into the labels. I think it's like I don't think it's helpful. I think if you wanna, you can minimize the amount of meat or whatever you're doing without needing to go like 100% one way. Because you want to enjoy life to a certain degree. Like if you think about, we're talking before about going traveling, and I think as a vegan, it becomes so much more challenging to enjoy the local cuisines if your diet is quite restricted. So for me, like I was full vegan for a while, and my rule is at home I pretty much only cook vegan. But if I travel, etc., I'll relax it a little bit. Like I'll have a bit of seafood. I don't really eat meat at all. But before, I felt like I got into quite a black and white thinking about it. It's like it's either this or either or. But I think you can be a little bit fluid with it.
I totally agree. And it really becomes a question of motivation.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
if you are against the idea of using animals for food, then of course you kind of have to be a vegan.
Are you vegan? No,
No,
you're
I'm a
not. Really.
pescatarian, but
You're pesky, right?
so I eat fish in
I think
vast
fish is healthy.
quantities.
I think it's super healthy.
I
I
just
think
think fish is
fish.
delicious.
It is
It's not.
delicious as well.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, fishies, but you are delicious. You taste really good.
I do. Yeah.
And we know fish tastes good because you barely need to add any seasoning to fish, and you a
Mm.
bit of lemon maybe, and you can. I mean, I will still jerk. I'll jerk a fish. I'm not. I jerk everything, but like, I still love. I still love fish. Like we flavor things with fish because fish is so delicious. So that's why I can't stop eating fish. Shrimp. Give up shrimp. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I
And
don't
all of it.
know. They make the
What?
best crisps. They make the best crisps, guys. A bit of prawn cocktail. I don't know.
Yeah, skips.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Melt on the tongue.
I can't give up skips. But
Nah.
go back to, so I'm pescatarian, but I love a bit like you actually. So I do like to make and enjoy making meat-free and vegan meals. I think it's really beneficial to not rely on animal products for meals, but to see them as a treat. So rather than I have to have meat and fish, more like, oh, okay, if I have this, it's a privilege that I'm
Yeah.
happy to enjoy.
The one thing I'd say is I've lost mad amount of muscle mass, and that is not amazing. Because I did at one point, I was doing the vegan thing whilst doing the intermittent fasting, and
Oh
I
yeah,
had friends just saying like, "Bro, you look gaunt." It wasn't a healthy looking skinny. It was like,
yeah.
"Are you okay?" type skinny.
Well, do you work? Do you go to gym a lot? Do you do a lot of exercise?
Yeah, I do a lot of that sort of stuff. I was going to the gym, I do Thai boxing, all that kind of thing. So, but you do notice it. Like there is definitely a difference between animal protein and fat and plant based. There's
Yeah.
something. I don't know. There's like a tautness. There's a thoroughness that you get from that animal protein that makes a difference to the body. Your shape that you don't get in vegetables, and if you that's why you see a lot of like vegan people and they're just super slim,
My
ill
understanding,
looking.
my understanding is that so you have like plant-based proteins and obviously like animal-based proteins, and the volume of plant-based protein you need to
Eat
eat
so much.
exactly. So a lot of it is more like
Yeah.
quantity rather than quality. So
But then it's like, who has the time?
exactly.
It's like I've done it before. When I used to, like years ago, I used to lift weights a lot, etc. And you do the 6 meals a day thing. And I did that, when I was at uni. It's fine. I was a student. But now I haven't got the time to do that. And also, I don't think it's healthy to just like eat, 6 meals a day. Some people say it's better to have smaller meals, but more frequently. But I don't think it's good for your digestive system because then your body is working on digesting your food when it could be repairing blood cells.
Oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. That sounds scientific. Is
Yeah, I may
it?
have just made that. No, I think no, I think it is. I think there's something to be said for that. I think that's the whole thing about intermittent fasting as well, is that you're giving your body a rest from digesting food so that it can repair, blood cells, etc.
Well, not that I want to advocate weight loss or whatever, but went on a kind of quote unquote diet after I had my second child because I went on the
Yeah.
scales. I was like, rotted. That's way more than the first one.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was a lockdown pregnancy. As you can imagine, I was just sitting around all day, like Jabba the Hutt, just like shoving food into my gob. I'm pregnant. It's lockdown. Let's have a
Yeah.
party in my mouth. And it was I had a really lovely summer and autumn and winter, just like. Eating lots, but I did suddenly think to myself, but none of my clothes fit, which is obviously very common after you've had a baby. And I thought to myself, I don't really want to go out and buy new clothes. And on top of that, like I just wanted to go back to what I was before I had the baby. I had this fixation in my head, like I want to get back to the old me, so I can mentally can say, right, I've recovered or whatever. So I did fasting. I would fast. I didn't realize I was fasting. It was just a diet, but I would fast. I'd wake up in the morning and like eat a little bit and then not eat again until the evening. Okay. And then try and exercise during the day as well. So I'd be exercising into stomach, and it actually worked. So it's like I was like, oh, this is working. So there must be something in fasting that is really beneficial, and I feel great. I didn't feel like this is a struggle. I have to do this to get into my genes. It wasn't like that at all, and I found it quite. I'm really glad that I made a point of doing it because the discipline was good for me.
No, it's good, and it does increase energy, because you're using up energy every time you're eating food. So it can increase energy, and I don't know, it's just a fashionable thing to drop, in a dinner party or something. What are you up to? What are you doing? And just intermittent fasting. Oh, really? Yeah. And then you can just spill some bollocks about how it's beneficial for you.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, for Lent, I've given up fried plantain. And normally, when people come to this podcast, they get we just have loads and loads of fried plantain. And I put coffee on and we have a chat. So this would have been a horrible recording because I would not have been able to have my fried plantain. I've been watching you eat it, and if you weren't fasting, and I
love fried plantain.
Terrible. It's just amazing.
What's the nutritional value of that? Is it carb? I'm assuming it's carb heavy. With very little nutritional, but okay,
plantain is actually quite good for you.
Is it? Okay.
I'm going to look it up now. I'm googling it right now because I always look it up and I always forget. But it's a fruit, so people because it's savoury, people think it's sort of starchy. And it does have a lot of starch, but it has lots of fruit. So it has lots of potassium, for example, because it's in the family of bananas.
Bananas, yeah. What spices do you cook with it?
Well, I kind of have plantain on its own. You don't need to spice it up. Well, there's something called kelliwelly we have in Ghana where you season it with ginger, garlic, maybe paprika and chili flakes. It has to be chili flakes. Don't use fresh. Don't use fresh chili. You just stink out your house. And that's we'll have it with that. But generally speaking, I just add a bit of salt.
Do you use turmeric in a lot of your stuff?
I do. That's the Indian side of my cooking. Yeah,
because that's supposed to be everyone says it's the the super spice in terms of being good for you and good for your joints, etc. But the amount of clothes I've stained from using turmeric, it's dangerous. That stuff.
It's very. It will dye everything. It will make you look
kill it.
It will make you look jaundiced.
Makes you know you've got jaundice. Yeah.
It will, but I use turmeric a lot. I make a lot of, if anyone who makes curries, and if you listen to this and you're a curry maker, you will know turmeric is it makes curries. It's if you make a curry or if you make curries and you don't have turmeric in your cupboard, you don't make curries.
I said turmeric. See, I think this is one of my flaws is that I mispronounce words.
I don't know, but I might be mispronouncing it. I don't know how to say
I think yours sounds like a sensible pronunciation.
Turmeric.
I've got this weird block in my head. I can't pronounce certain words, and my dad rips it out of me.
Okay, well, you don't. We will never know how to pronounce it, or you can Google pronunciations now. But let's just assume we're both right. It's one of those tomato things. Whilst we're on spices, fenugreek. Do you cook with fenugreek?
No.
Right. If you're making not any kind of curry, but if you're not a curry person if you're not using fenugreak. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, really?
And you can get fenugreek seeds and dried fenugreek leaves. And again, this would be the Indian side, but it's an essential ingredient. And I don't know why I'm saying this, but I feel at this moment in time, I've not actually spoken about how good fenugreek is when in curries enough.
Is it like an aniseed type vibe?
It's quite aromatic. It has a very slight aromatic kind of I'll tell you what, when you start using it, you will taste something, right? And you know, when you go out and you eat a curry,
Yeah.
what I think you will find is, oh, that's what that taste is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the minute
Okay.
you
Okay.
taste it,
Yeah.
you'll realize it's like it's familiar to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's spicy. It's spicy. It's aromatic. It just has a nice taste. And if I don't use it, I'll eat my curry. I'll be like, there's no fenugreek in this. Like it's just uh yeah. Anyway, I don't. Why how
Is
do you
this
answer the
is this
subject?
podcast sponsored by Fenwick?
It should be. If there's like an organization just for that
Yeah.
particular spice or herb, um,
So
that
niche.
yeah, it is niche. And I don't imagine they pay very well to
No.
be in some bizarre conglomerate, fenugreek conglomerate.
Do you find it off-putting, like if you see like a man pissing on like a an alley or like the side of a street? Do you think?
Yes, it's awful.
Yeah, right.
It's the
Does
worst
it feel like
thing.
vandalism in a way?
I can't imagine. I mean, I've obviously done it because sometimes it needs must. But you know, the idea of being able to pull your pants down and take a piss in public—that's
Yeah.
such a privilege that men have. If women did that, and we do, and when we do it, we're like shamed for it. It's like considered an absolutely shameful act of. It's an act of ladies of the night and sinners and things like that. Whereas guys, like I'll be walking down the street with a guy, it's happened, and he'll just suddenly disappear. And I'll be like, where's Steve gone? And Steve, well, not you, Steve. I happen to know someone called Steve who did that, bizarrely enough. But anyway,
There's
so
another
what's just
Steve.
yeah, could you imagine? Yeah. What a coincidence. I just collect Steves. And they'll just kind of like go off, have a wee, and come back like it's nothing.
Nothing.
Like
Yeah.
it's nothing. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's vagrancy.
They're now, not now, but pre-pandemic, they started. This is a while ago actually. They started to put public urinals in the streets, so
I
you
saw
could
this.
just like groups of men just like pissing,
Well,
and this like urinal thing, which I guess is good in one respect because you're at least not doing the street. But I don't know, there's something about it that feels like quite intrusive.
I just sort of think go before you go, guys. Wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, wherever you're having a drink, go before you go. That's what I tell my kids.
And I'm
That's
saying
like,
this, and I've done this. I mean, obviously, I've done this before. It's not like I've never not pissed in the street, but if I've noticed it, especially if it's more in the immediate surroundings, I'm just like, oh, bruv, come on, you could control that.
I think so. I think it's become normalized, and it doesn't like I'm just wondering if I've seen it in like other countries, and I have actually. I wonder if there are like tribes in the rainforest just pissing up with guys pissing up trees and women going, "Oh, for fuck's sake, Carlos." Do you know what I mean? Go before you go, man. Steve, on that note, I'm going to have to say to you that we have to draw this to a close at some point. We can't talk forever. People have very short attention spans because of the iPad situation.
This is true.
That they brought up on, and I'm just sorry that we couldn't do this at a table in my house, surrounded by food we're not allowed to eat because I'm on a diet and you fast.
Next time.
However, well, hopefully there will be a next time. Let me say it again. Hopefully there will be a next time. And everybody who I'm doing this online version of the podcast with gets a plantain voucher. So
win.
Yeah, so you can claim that voucher anytime. It's a voucher. You just come around and knock on the door because that's how it works. In terms of coming to people's houses and stuff. And I'll open the door if I'm at home, and you can come in and you can have some plantain.
Great.
That's what the voucher does.
I will bring a bottle of Evian's Finest.
Yeah, please do. I won't be drinking it though because, like I said,
tap water all the way. Yeah.
Yeah, tap it all the way. But Steve, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry the baby was slept through this whole thing, so you don't get to meet him. But next time when you come round, you will.
Yeah, I feel like we met briefly in the past
when he was hanging off of me.
Made a brief appearance. Send in my love.
We'll make a point of introducing you, Steve. Thank you for coming to keep my company.
Thank you so much for having me.
Cool, no worries. So that was Steve Whiteley. Steve, thank you so much for coming onto my podcast. I knew we'd have a great chat that covered pretty much everything. We went everywhere with that, but of course we would. Steve's brilliant. He's a writer, director, producer. He's a performer. You can find him online. Just check out www.offkeyworld.com. That's www.offkeyworld.com. Or find him on his socials. I'll put all the links you can use to stalk him in the description of this podcast because he's fantastic. He's working on some brilliant projects that I've personally seen myself, and they are very exciting. So good luck to him for the future. This has been Keeping Athena Company. I have been Athena Cabenu. I'm a stand-up and a writer, and you can follow me on my social media platforms too. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I don't really use Facebook. Find me on Twitter. I'm more likely to respond to you if you get at me on Twitter, okay? But it'd be a pleasure to hear from you if you want to come and say hello. Thank you for listening to this and getting this far. This was a longer episode, so thank you for getting to the 55th minute. That means you have a better attention span than me. It's appreciated. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up next time.